following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
What's up, RA Nation?
What's going on?
Big shout out to Life After This for that intro, because that intro always gets me headbanging. I love it. How's it going, Antman?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. How was your 4th?
It was loud. It was loud and exciting, and I have some scars and some bruises from it, but it was great. It was fun. I feel like anytime you get the chance to play with fireworks, like that's like,
boom.
You're right. Absolutely. 100%.
I think it correlates with the concert scene, because that boom I feel with fireworks is that boom that I feel when I'm sitting next to, two Marshall stacks,
and it's crazy, to think about just getting back into it, man, and exciting to get back into music, like movies, all of that stuff, man. I'm just like, I feel like a kid in a candy store.
Right? Yeah, the world is opening, and here we are. What are we gonna do? We're gonna endeavor in it, right?
Right. I think
no fillers.
Gotta grow together.
Yeah, we got some comments already coming in. I love your comments, guys. I love them.
Right on. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. We got an exciting one tonight. I'm really excited about hanging out with Brian tonight and hanging out with Terri.
Yeah. So me, Brian, and Terri, they're close to me, and they've got a show. Also, they're on the K4HD program with the station. We're on W4CY Talk 4 TV, and they're on K4AG Talk 4 TV. And they have this huge studio out in California, and they're doing really big things. So I can't wait to show you what they have going on. They're incredible. They've been there, they've done it. That's the scenario. They've been there, done that. And who do we look up to in life when we're in the music industry? We look up to people who've been there and done that, right?
Yeah, and it's important to know where you've been to know where you're going. I think it's really important to make sure that all the ins and outs, because a lot of times it's the smallest thing that can trip you up like 20 steps down the road.
Truth, definitely truth. Hey, Antman. So, to get off the side rail and get onto a mainstream of something circulating into the music industry, I saw this contract floating around. Did you see that contract?
Man, so yeah, I browsed it. It was sent to me by an artist that is known but not known enough. And so what I feel like, that contract that I sent you, and the way I look at it may be different the way other people look at it, but to me, when it's first thing I looked over at that contract was that I felt like the artist or the person that contract is for is not only being robbed of all of their intellectual property. We'll get into that briefly in a minute, but basically doing all the work for somebody just to come in and say, yep, that's mine.
Yeah. So I want you to elaborate on your version of how you see the contract versus somebody that doesn't really know too much about contracts.
Me personally, I feel like it's a give my all, get absolutely nothing. It's very the biggest thing, I noticed with the contract is a lot of artists, when no matter if you're very small and you don't really know the ins and outs, you don't really know better, when somebody who has the right verbiage and the right jargon lined up, it's easy to sell somebody on a kitten, at the end of the day. And so I feel like there's better out there, like the money and the time that you're going to put into that contract. You would be better off to put that money and that time into something that's actually going to give you value.
So here's something I want our listeners to do. If you're listening right now, I want you to put into our chat, wherever it may be, on what you've experienced with contracts and how it benefited you or how it done you wrong, whatever it may be. I want to hear your experience. So put that in the chat now, and we'll bring it up later. And
absolutely.
so yeah, because we want to address this, because contracts are a big issue, and you can definitely be done wrong with contracts, right? I mean, it's a business world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, business is business, and business people are out for what they want, and they're not for your favor. So we want to have people know what they're going after, and know what they want, and know that this contract of a business side is going to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've got in my green room down here, the green room where they're powdering their noses right now. I can see it. I've got Brian, Sebastian, and Terri Marie, and they're gonna step in. They're gonna give their little bit of 2 cents on the contract side of it, as well as many other aspects of it, because they've been around, they've known it. So we want to hear their opinion, and we want to hear your opinion too. So RA Nation, if you're not a part of the RA Nation podcast group on Facebook, please join. Music Familiar Productions as well. You go to the YouTube, and it's Music Familiar Productions. You can see it right behind Antman right there.
Like, share, subscribe, baby.
Like,
wait, I gotta get used to it. There we go. I gotta get used to the camera angles being different.
It's inverted, but whatever. All right. Real quick. Contracts always favor the person who draw them up. So make them your own contracts. How do you make them your own, though? That's the thing. How do you make them your own?
So I think Mark's onto something with that. I have seen in a very small number of occasions, I've seen where the contract doesn't benefit the writer. But there's always something on the back half. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that fine print, you really need to know what you're going for. You need to know what they mean and what their intentions are.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So without further ado, boom, boom. Let's bring on Brian and Terri.
What's going on, Brian? What's going on, Terri?
Hi, everyone.
Hey there, everybody. How you guys doing? First of all, I'm not going to give you 2 cents. I'm going to give you 10 cents at least.
Bring it.
And I agree with what you're saying, Mark. So, hi, Mark. Welcome to RA Nation and movie reviews and more with me and Nonstop, Terri Marie. Well, one of the things about that, because I'm just jumping right in, because that's usually what I do. Sorry, Antman. Sorry, Roxy.
No, do what you got.
That's why I brought you on.
But it's one of those things where here's the thing. It's all about the numbers. So for us, with 8 million views a day and counting, do you not think we're going to get to 9? Well, actually, we're working on 9 right now, but I don't say 9. I still say 8 to 10. So as Antman would say, and Mark said, it's about the numbers. Any influencer that Terri has interviewed and that we have met, we got somebody big coming on. I'll tell you about a little bit later on. If you got those numbers, that contract is yours to draw up. You can say whatever the hell you want to say because it's about the numbers. For us, I only go about the views. There's some downloads here and there on our Tuesday night show, but I really just stick to the views if that makes sense. So when I say our number is going to continue to go up, and Terri's got over 3 million views, so yeah, she does. So it's one of those things. She's been on all the shows. She's done a lot of those interviews. She's got 17, 18, 24,000 three individual interviews, 2 or 3 minutes that she's done on the red carpet. You can't take that away from her. No matter what, it's not going to ever drop down. And I always say, and Antman, you've never heard this before because we haven't met officially yet. I always say this: you can always unfollow someone, you can always unlike someone, you can always unsubscribe, but you can never unview a view.
You can never unview a view. Perfect. Yes.
So Terri, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Well, you know, on TikTok, if you're in the Creators Fund, they pay you on views. They don't pay you by followers. Mm-hmm. So, and I wish that more of the platforms work that way because it makes more sense. Like how many people have viewed the picture? That's how you get paid.
That monetization is really hard to do. It really is with the virtual world these days.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's, certain requirements that you have to have for each platform. And then there's certain requirements for your blue check mark. And I don't know. A lot of it is pretty silly, but I do think that if you're going to get paid on those platforms, it should be by the views of the pictures or the videos, not by the followers.
Ah, she's getting it.
I am. Well, I mean, it's, it's somebody's looking at your work, whether it be you're a musician, an athlete, I don't know, whatever your talent is, you're viewing that talent. So it's worth something that somebody's checked it out, even if they're not following you. So there, Brian, I got it.
No, I'm proud of you. You're getting it. So Antman and Roxy here and Mark, and then my friend Sherry from Sherry Foster's channel, she chimed on. So here's the thing about all of this stuff. Any athlete, if they don't like their contract, what do? They usually sit out. What are they always asking for? More money because they don't think they're getting their value. The value is the same thing as the views. And then they can sit out. But you know what? It's the fans that actually go and see them to perform. So do you think in back in the day, David Lee Roth was going to go on stage if he didn't have that money and it was all about those people selling out in a Van Halen tour? And the reason I mentioned Van Halen because my favorite song is Ain't Talking About Love. That's why I mentioned that. Great. So no, they're not going to do that.
Right. You have to definitely take into all these different aspects and counter them into. So you take into aspects of all these different viewpoints of different scenarios, different people, who's listening to what, all these grid aspects, and you have to take that into play, right? So you take that and you run with it. And if you're not looking at that on what's big and what's happening these days, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go with nothing?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about this one guy, and it relates to the contracts. Here's a guy who's got 1 billion views. How many people have met someone, first of all, with 1 billion views? How many people, first of all, know someone with 1 billion views? I just met this guy Saturday who has 1 billion views. So here's the bigger question. What's bigger? Over 1 billion views and still counting, or 2.5 million followers on his Instagram? What's the bigger number? 1 billion views, right?
Truth. Views
so
followers.
Let me tell you, believe me, he's got that silver check. He's a newfound friend. I only met him. Today's what, Monday? I only met him Saturday, and I didn't even know who this kid was, but his name is, Danny Duncan. He's got 1 billion views on YouTube, 2.5 million followers on his Instagram. He's got 4.4 million on his TikTok, and he's not following anything on it, but it doesn't matter. But I guarantee you, he can do anything that he wants. And with me, he was very cordial, very nice. But if you watch any of his videos, this guy is like jackass.
Yeah, I have actually seen some of his work.
Well, now he's coming on our show now. He's one of our newfound friends.
Is a silver check mark a new thing? Because I have never seen that. I don't know.
No, you know what it is? You've got to have 1 billion views.
I haven't really. I've never noticed it. I've probably seen it, just not paid attention. But I had no idea that there was a silver check mark. So now I learned something.
So Antman, you knew of him, obviously.
Yeah. I definitely knew of him, and brilliant. You have to be able to capture the mind in like 2.3 seconds. Like there's an exact number, but it's like less than 3 seconds these days. and I'm amazed at how he's able just to keep going and going and going. Like it's like the Energizer Rabbit for real.
So let's bring up Leland Sklar. You did Leland Sklar not too long ago, and he's been around since what, the late '60s, and he's still going and going and going, right?
Yeah, he's got the world's best bass that everybody has signed in the world. That's the most popular bass in the world, and it's played on over 2,200 albums. And he's played on over 4,000 albums. And those 2,200, most of those albums are hits. Whether it was on studio sessions, starting off with James Taylor, Linda Ronstadt, going all the way up to Phil Collins, who he still plays with this day. And Leland's become one of our friends. And, I'm supposed to see him this weekend. He'll be coming up, him and the immediate family. They'll be coming into the studio sometime in August. And that'll be fun. But I want actually, Antman, you'll like this. I want to actually hold that bass. Because I can't play a bass, but I can pretend real good I can play a bass.
Yeah, same here. I never played an instrument a day in my life, but I found my dad's vinyl records, and from that moment on, it was on. Like, you just can't stop. Music's awesome,
Mm-hmm.
Brian, the music scene. What do you do with? Tell me about this drum corps thing. Tell everybody about this drum corps thing.
I love drum and bugle corps. That's my never. I always tell people, and I joke about it. If I ever get into an accident, which I won't, but if I did, and someone wasn't paying attention, and I'm in a coma, I guarantee you put some drum corps music on, and I will wake up. I guarantee you. My fingers will start moving. Everything. Pretending I'm air drumming, since I'm that drummer and we bang harder. I will immediately wake up. Hey, David. But it's one of those things out there where the drum and bugle corps activity was one of those things where you took kids off the streets back in the day and you taught them how to play an instrument. And then, you went on tour in the summers to perform in different towns and different states. And then within a month and a half period, you'd be crossing between 10 and 12,000 miles. So it's the only activity in the world where you can actually see the United States and some of the world if you took a tour outside the U.S. And so for me, by the time I was at an early age, I actually was at 23 states before I even graduated high school. And I had only gone to 3 states with my family. So drum corps activity did that. You don't get that in baseball. You don't get that in football. You don't get that in any of these other sports. The Olympics comes closest when you're traveling. But that's pretty much it. And then you're with a bunch of other kids as early as ages 14 on up to 21, you age out.
You were talking with me the other day about the Ohio scene. And you were telling me about the Canton, Ohio,
the Blue Coats
are involved, and the Blue Coats. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about Ohio, because we have a lot of followers here in Ohio.
So Canton Blue Coats, they were funded by the Canton Police Department there. So they were funding. In the old days, you would have the VFW, the CYO, Catholic Youth Organization. Terri will get a kick out of this. St. Jude's Hospital, with Danny Thomas Invitational, for 1 or 2 years they sponsored drum corps. They knew what was going on with these kids. And it was one of those things where you didn't have time to get in trouble. You didn't have time to do anything wrong because you had to go on tour. And if you were in jail or locked down for summer school, you couldn't go on tour. It just wasn't going to happen. And the last thing you wanted to miss was to be away from your family and go on tour. You weren't going to screw that up. And that was fun because I see these kids today and they're rock stars. That drum line, you think of drum line with Nick Cannon. Well, drum line came from watching drum and bugle corps. That's just a high school band and a college band, but a lot of those kids now are music professionals. Think of Blue Man Group. That's actually all those guys are drum and bugle corps. A lot of those people are like that. Think of Chuck Corea, Herbie Hancock, Sergio Mendes. All their music was played in drum and bugle corps. I learned classical music by watching Phantom Regiment from Rockford, Illinois. That's how I learned classical music.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Ohio State. And the band, like the Baddest Damn Band, like I love them, and it wasn't until I watched Drumline, it was like, okay, this is really Hollywood out, really, honestly. Like I want to see the real thing. Like, so I did travel to a couple of universities around my area, just out of being a fanboy, honestly, and just wanting to respect it, want to know all about it. And it's amazing. It's a discipline. And I just, once you're in, it's like a small group of friends. Like once you're in, your family for life,
Absolutely. It's like traveling, and I always related to the Grateful Dead. Terry will like that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where the Deadheads would go to see every Dead concert cross country, no matter where. Drum Corps Nuts are like that. And my old Instagram handle is Drum Corps Nuts. I used to travel the country to go see Drum Corps shows, and I would run into all these people, and I based on where I wanted to live was where that drum and bugle corps was. That's how much of a nut I was, and that's where my handle Drum Corps Nut came from. You didn't know that, Terry, did you?
Yes, I did, because I met you. That's what your handle was.
Not.
Yes, I did.
Still Drum Corps Nut. Drum Corps Nut, yes. It's still
I
that.
will always be.
So after Drum Corps, you went into another phase in the 70s. And tell us about that and how you fit into that and how difficult it was.
What, you mean being a disc jockey in all white clubs where they wouldn't let anybody black in? You mean that?
That's it. I mean, yeah.
So this is how I model thing, and Terry gets a chance to see a lot of these things firsthand. I never wanted to be put into a thing. I was always, as a drummer, like I said, we bang harder, we do our own thing. I always wanted to go carve out our own road because I saw things and I see things differently till this day. If I see talent in someone, I want to be able to bring that talent out in that person and showcase them. It's not going to cost you anything. Maybe now it's a sponsorship or donating to the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch. That may be it, but it's really, again, going back to our views and all the stuff that we're doing, it's about really helping a lot of people. So what I learned when I moved from New London, Waterford, Connecticut to East Lyme, Connecticut, I moved from a mixed high school to an all-white high school. Now, whenever military kids can relate to this, you never want to pack up and keep moving or anything like this. I didn't have a choice. My mom said, we're moving to a higher, better neighborhood, upper middle class neighborhood. She didn't tell us it was going to be nothing but white people there. So, when you've got 3 black families in a town of 7,000, you're shell shocked. However, since I was in the band and I was in drum corps, I knew I was good. And so I took that drum corps attitude and I was telling these kids how to drum. I was telling them everything that they were going to do. And oh, by the way, they were going to Jamaica and I was going to Jamaica too. No one invited me. I was going. So what did that tell you? It was the drum corps attitude, that discipline, being the best out there at what you did. And that's how I started. And then so being that disc jockey, being in, again, the all white high school, East Lyme High School, which is my favorite. I love that town. And a lot of us, we are really close till this day. It was because of the band. If I didn't have band, I guarantee you I would probably be in prison. And that's not a joke because I wouldn't have had an outlet in being creative. When you're creative, any artist, and we've seen this happen, you get into trouble. So drum corps was our way not to get into trouble. So with that, they started the sock hop. And with that sock hop, I'm like, oh, there's got to be a disc jockey. How wrong would it be if I'm the black guy and I'm not the disc jockey? So I immediately said, you know what? I got my 2 turntables. I better do it. So that's how I became a disc jockey. So I played them Rapper's Delight first. I was mixing Pink Floyd and, yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart with Richard Pryor playing in the background. So I learned how to do all this stuff that Terry danced to.
Yes.
I had to know all this stuff. Now, you couldn't have told me 30 years into the future, a lot of these people would be our friends and coming on to our shows because I didn't see that. All I saw, I was going to California. I was going to be disc jockey on Power 106, and I did. And then things started to morph from there. So what I saw was when you got talent and people saying, oh, we can't let those people in. I'm like, I'm part of those people. So when I saw that stuff and they were dancing to black music and they were dancing to the Bee Gees and I put on some, who was I playing rock then? I was playing, I forgot what I was playing. I was playing more club house music at that point before they called it that, but I was doing a mixture of things because I knew that's what it was. And if I didn't know something, my friends would let me know. And by the way, my first concert I ever went to, I don't know if Terry knows it, was they kidnapped me for my birthday, drove me an hour away to see, out of all people, Ted Nugent.
Nice.
I'm looking around,
Wow.
and I'm like, I'm at a concert. Who's this guy, Ted Nugent? I knew who he was, but Ted Nugent, there couldn't have been anybody better you couldn't have kidnapped me for.
Right.
But it was actually a good show. And from that, he played Great White Buffalo and obviously Cat Scratch Fever. And I was like, wow, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
First time I
And
saw Ted Nugent, I was at Columbus State Fair, and everyone's like, "Who's Ted Nugget? Who's Ted Nugget?"
Nuggets.
Like,
I
who
said
are
the same thing.
Wow.
No, and that was what it is. And then the second time they took me, I went to go see Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Nice.
And then they called it the Black and Blue Tour. I don't know, Terry, if you remember that tour, but it was them, and it was in Providence, Rhode Island, and they couldn't have the fireworks because it was against the law there. And I was like, well, this is pretty good. Now, I didn't see me being a black ticket scalper and scalping tickets to all those rock concerts, but I did. And that's how I got a chance to go to college. I put myself through college by being a ticket scalper. So I had all those tickets, and guess what we called it? We called it tickets.
You called your business, your scalping business was called Tickets?
Yeah, I didn't name it. My friend, I remember Don named it. He named it Tickets out of New Jersey. But all on the East Coast, you had the New Jersey, Meadowlands, you had the Hartford Civic Center in Connecticut, you had New Haven Coliseum, you had Providence, Rhode Island, you had Spectrum in Philadelphia, you had Madison Square Garden. So they did the whole round. So I got to see everybody. And you know what tickets I had till this? Well, I don't have many more, but the two shows that I never saw was The Who. And I had tickets for it because I was with this girl, and I'm like, I don't want to bring her to see The Who. I'd rather sell the tickets. And I was calling everybody. Terry, remember rotary phones?
Yes.
I was calling everybody on a rotary phone in college, and I couldn't reach my friends. And as I was screaming at the phone, I was like, I got tickets for The Who. You guys want to see them? Nobody picked up the phone. And by the time I saw my friends, I threw the tickets at them, and I was so pissed. I'm like, you guys could have went to go see The Who, because I was with this girl, and I wasn't going to take her. So I never got a chance to see The Who.
Terry,
But there's still time.
Wow.
Terry, what was your first concert?
My first concert was The Cure.
Wow.
The Hollywood Palladium. I was in high school. I'm going to date myself, but I waited for 6 hours in line, and we were right in front of the mosh pit. That was my first concert at 15 years old, was The Cure at the Hollywood Palladium. Yep.
Nice. Super fun. Yeah, man. Who was your first concert?
So my first concert actually was I got a chance to see Ted Nugent, and then
Get out of here.
it kind of because I'm from Michigan, and so I grew up on the Motor City Madman himself, and I stumbled across Cat Scratch Fever and Stranglehold at a very, very young age, and I never got a chance to go. And he did one of his very fifth to last tours, and it comes through Michigan, and I got a chance to watch him ride out on stage on a big white buffalo and shoot a flaming arrow, from the back of the. Oh, it was insane! I was like,
Wow.
Yeah. That was awesome.
I got a question for you, Jim. Who was Antman? What was your favorite concert, and what was your worst concert?
The worst concert that I ever saw was a Godsmack. No, I take that back. A Puddle of Mud concert.
Really?
I watched Wes jump on stage. They went to do one of the songs. There was a lady and her husband in the front row. He called her up on stage and said some vulgar stuff and said, if you want to hear the song, you need to bleep me. And da-da-da-da. And after that, I grabbed my phone. I unfollowed him on social media. I downloaded all the music. I'll never see them play again, ever. I can't tolerate disrespect to women. I can't do that.
Wow.
The best show that I've ever saw was Rob Zombie in Detroit. And only because the concert was great. I love people, being around people. I got a beer spilled on me, and because I got that beer spilled on me when I went to the bar, I didn't realize it, but he was 5 people down from the bar from me and handed me a towel and was like, it happens to the best of us, bud, and walked away. And it didn't click at me at the moment who that person was. And as I saw him on stage, hey, he handed me a towel.
Fanboy moment. Right?
Oh, I freaked out. I lost it. That was.
Terry, you've done music videos for.
Well, I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, I would probably.
That's because she's crazy.
Yeah, because I'm nonstop. But the first time I ever was on TV was I was a regular in American Bandstand. So I was a spoiled brat kid because I got to meet all these bands like at like the age of like 14. I remember I met Madonna was on American Bandstand, In Excess, Psychedelic Furs, Janice Jackson, and I have like a whole collection of signatures from like all these greats that were on American Bandstand back in the 80s. And it's something that like I will cherish forever because it's not an experience that a lot of kids in high school would experience. But we would film on a Saturday and Sunday once a month, and we would do 3 shows on Saturday and 3 shows on Sunday, and it was just a blast. So that was my my introduction to music in high school. That kind of crazy. So
one of the things that I try to emulate towards all of our listeners and all the musicians and artists in the world is to keep following your dreams.
Yep.
Something that you have done has been very inspiring. And so tell us a little bit about what you do as far as, I mean, it might not be music industry related, but you still are so inspiring. So can I show a picture?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So right there, tell me a little bit about why you look so amazing.
Well, I mean, I've been pretty much into athletics like my whole life. I was on a swim team in high school. I did gymnastics as a kid. I've always been into, the weight training. And then, I decided at, 40, how old was I? 43 years old. I was going to get up on stage and start competing. And the first show that I did was Muscle Beach. And I was able to beat all the 20-year-olds and get first place. Nice. So then I got kind of the bug to compete. So, I mean, I've been doing NPC shows, and, I'm a little over 50 now, and I'm still competing. I'm training with my first trainer. Age is a number. It's funny because, if you take care of your body, you take care of your soul, you're going to remain young. And nothing is more inspiring to me than the older athletes. And sometimes it's older athletes that compete look better than these 20-year-olds. And it's just, I think, it's almost like the muscle definition is better with age. I don't know if you start looking at some of the older competitors in the sport, but I love the sport of bodybuilding because it's something that you can do at 80 years old and still get on stage and do it. And so my message to women out there is like, it's never too late to do anything that you want to. Because I think a lot of people I think a lot of people think that once you get to a certain age, it's over. It used to be 30, it used to be 40, it's never over. But I think, women are really hard on themselves in general. But you have to go at everything with a healthy attitude too. You know what I mean? You're never going to be perfect. Even the people that are on those magazine covers and fitness and stuff don't look like that all the time. You have to remember that we're all human beings. And, the only competition you really have to have is with yourself. And, just set up goals for yourself and don't worry about other people. Just worry about you. That's the hardest lesson I think I ever had to learn. When I get up on stage, I'm competing with myself to be better, and then if I get the trophy, it's that much more, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. I want to correlate that into the music industry as well, because it is definitely the same mindset. It's definitely the same. You want to do better. You want to keep going at it. And why stop? Why just give up because of an age? Why? Just keep at it and keep going at it because it's an expression of yourself. So I really love what you're doing, Terri.
Yeah. Well, another thing too is that, everybody gets told no. I mean, I've done acting off and on in my whole life, and I've done some modeling. And I remember going to the casting agent, and this woman looked me in the face, looked at my portfolio, and she's all, "You can't compete with my fitness models." She's all, "Look at your ass, it's flat." And I was like, okay. I mean, people in the industry will say shit like that to you. And it's like, you have to kind of go, okay, my ass is flat. Well, I can grow my ass. I just have to do more squats. I mean, but there's some people that are just
Antman, for the record, her ass is not flat.
Not anymore, because Mustafa kills me once a week. But that's my trainer, who's Mr. California. But my point is that there's going to be people that tell you no, and you can't listen to them. I mean, even if they're a so-called expert, they're a talent agency. So maybe that agent doesn't like you. There's going to be somewhere another agent that's going to pick you up and support you. And I think, again, it's like just because it's like dating. One guy don't like you, you're going to find another one that does. You know what I mean? So it's just that maybe that doesn't click. And I think that sometimes take this whole industry, even music and acting and fitness, like too personally. You can't. You just have to keep going. And never give up, because you're going to get 1,000 no's and somebody's going to finally tell you yes.
My favorite quote from Will Smith is Will Smith said, "If you can't ride in my car when it's dirty, you're damn sure not going to ride in my car when it's clean."
Yep.
And I absolutely agree with that. And like that's on my bedroom wall, that's on my mirror, and I even keep that quote in my wallet. There's just times where you have to dig down somewhere else. Like it can't just be a meme or whatever. Like sometimes you are all you have, and if you can't do it yourself, then you can't really expect somebody else to do it for you.
Exactly. I agree with that. So, Brian, you have lived an amazing world. Your lifetime. You've been in. You do red carpets. You do all kinds of stuff. And so I want to bring this up with our listeners and tips with our music scene kind of changing. So can you give some maybe guidelines or tips or something that you see that's happening that you want to put your input in?
Yeah, it's really changing. And I think it's a great time for a lot of new people. It goes back to what you guys were saying about contracts. Denzel Washington said this. Yes, contracts. Denzel said this: there's no show without the business. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to those contracts, wait for the 2nd or the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th one. You'll find the right one. There's no reason to rush into it, especially now. There is no reason to rush into it. But also those people out there, when I can't believe I'm saying this, but when you have social media, you can create a lot of great things. You really can. You just got to find the one outlet that's great for us. For me, I'm weakest on Twitter. I just put our shows up on there. That's pretty much it. I don't want to say anything. I want our shows to do the speaking, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. We're strongest on our Tuesday nights. We're strong on we're strong out of Tennessee. What, it's 4,400,000 and still going strong. Oh, Terri, that second show we did is that 880,000 views and still going. I charted it yesterday. My goal for that one by the end of the summer was to get to 900,000 views, and it's going to get there. And then, maybe by the end of the year, that second show will get to another 1 million views. And then that would be the 3 shows out of Tennessee, out of the 5 that we have up. We're waiting for them to put another 5 up. That's got 1 million views. It's just a matter of time. That blows my mind. When we were going down there, I didn't see that happening. So again, sometimes you got to take yourself out of the area where you may be and go to a small town. Go and do a Sheryl Crow, what she did. Do what Alanis Morissette did. Go to those small little coffee places and play. Go back down to Venice Beach and play. You will be discovered one way or another if you're talented.
Definitely. You have to be able to branch yourself out there and do little things to make big things happen.
Very true.
Brian, what was one of the biggest things for you, going from 70s to today, July 2021? What is, if you could pick 3, what are the three biggest things that have changed for you that you see in music since you got into it?
Well, what took me out of music, believe it or not, was in 1991 was Madonna, La Isla Bonita, and I saw house music coming in from Chicago, and I didn't like it. And I was like, ooh, I see where this is going. I started to see the change with The Cure and Depeche Mode and all that, and I like what they had. And then I started hearing house music. I'm like, where's the borderline? Where's this going? And I'm like, ooh, who would have known? Now, Screaming Rachel out of Chicago, who started house music out of there, is one of our friends. I didn't see that one coming, with Trax Record. Everybody, that's where it started. And it's huge around the world. So that was one of the changes I saw. And then it took movies to bring me back. So for 4 years, I didn't listen to any music. I was done. I stopped being a disc jockey. I didn't want to carry my albums. My last big gig, I carried 90 albums in a big duffel bag. And I said, this is it. This is getting old. And then you saw CDs coming in. I said, no, I don't want to do that. I saw that starting to change. And on the home video side, I saw the home video side starting to mopple up. The home video side is, guess what? Netflix.
Right?
That's the home video side.
It over, haven't they?
Ted Sardos started at a home video. I met him once. Look where Netflix is now. Look where the streaming world is now. It's all about streaming. It's all about the views.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. They're tapped on subscribers. So they can't say subscribers. 3 years ago, guess what? They started talking about views. We started talking about views in 2017. 2017 is when I started talking about it. You will never, ever hear me stop saying that. And I will always talk about Terri's numbers because they will just keep going up.
We get about 1,000 an episode, and it's likewise on my podcast.
You guys are doing good. You guys are doing good. I'm paying attention to you guys. I see what you guys are doing.
He brings it up to me all the time.
What would you suggest to? So a lot of people I deal with a lot of country rap artists and a lot of other people that otherwise didn't have a platform, and they're like pushing themselves into social media. I feel like to a certain point they're oversaturating themselves into social media. So what do you say to some of these artists and musicians that are buying views?
No, geez.
Terri, you want to answer that one?
Well, you always know when somebody's buying views because you see these people with all these followers and then there's no comments. So what is the point? You're not interacting with anybody, and anybody that's going to be looking for brand to sponsor these people, the first thing they're going to look at is, are there any comments? Is there any engagement? So that's the biggest mistake, is to buy views. I don't understand it, but people do it.
And here's the thing. One reason why we went to Tennessee. So I was coming out of the film festival world. That would be the third one. I saw things changing in the film festival world where I was involved with the Hollywood Film Festival. And Terri was coming. I don't know why she was there, but she was coming. And I look back. Yeah, see, I look back at these things, and she was there.
I've been there forever.
And she's not going anywhere. And I would joke with her, not really. I joke with her that I can't even get rid of her. But I'm proud of her. I really am. She's come a long way, and we have come a long way. But it's one of those things when we went to Tennessee and I started seeing what was going on iTube 247, which is YouTube's competition. And then YouTube is not in Argentina, but iTube is, and talking with Jimmy Adams down there and him being aligned with Don King. And guess what? Don King's got 84 million followers. So it's one of those things that's great. See, I like that. 200K. See, that's a great thing. But yeah, it's all about that. I'm always charting those things when it comes to a view. Like I said, you can't unview a view.
Right. Definitely.
Cool.
So you've done a lot here with the movies, reviews, and more, and I'm gonna put that up right now. So I need to check that out. But one of the things I want to express to the listeners, because I know everybody would love this, is Chris Flores, who came onto one of your shows recently.
Beaten to it.
Yeah. Which was incredible because why? He produced a song that Chester Bennington put out there a long time ago before things happened. So that's Chris Flores there on the top left, and Terri next to him with Brian next to her.
You got Andrew Cole on the bottom.
Cole on the bottom.
You got Eve Gardner, who plays with Pink. Gwen Stefani.
Great, amazing player. Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me about that episode on how it was introduced to the world of this song that nobody knew about.
So with Chris is actually Slash's producer. And it goes back to that. A lot of times, a lot of these things, and you guys know this it's word of mouth. And then if they feel comfortable and they like you, and hey, I want you to meet so and so.
Yeah, it's definitely not the hey, I'm going to message you on Instagram. We're going to be friends. No.
No. Here, let me tell you how these people do it on Instagram. these influencers, because we have 97 million followers on our
Mhm.
Instagram
I gotta
when
put
it comes
this
to
one
that.
out here because Brian is no fake. He's out there. He's living the world.
He's met everybody.
Met everybody. He knows what's going on.
But when it comes to those things like that, it really is about relationships. I do our shows because I just want people to come on to tell their stories. Everybody's got a good story to tell, but not everybody has an outlet to tell it on. You guys have RA Nation that tells the story, and this should encourage more people to go out there and get good at doing interviews and talk about how they started, whether they were a singer or whether they were an actor. That's really what it's about. And Roxy, you know this, and Antman, you know this, and Terri definitely knows this. Just because you have a podcast doesn't mean anybody's listening to it.
That's true.
You really have to get these people to engage with you. And so what I do is I put everybody together in our studio. When we do our Celebrity Connected with Gene, Shanez, Terri does the red carpet interviews. You were not going to catch me doing that stuff anymore. She's really good at doing it, and she loves doing it. And I even marvel when I see her doing it. I'm like, this is why she's with us. No other reasons besides that, but
I dig doing the red carpet. I miss doing red carpet. You know that. Like I was devastated because of that when COVID started. I'm like, no more red carpets for a while. So I can't wait to be able to do that again. It's just so much fun for me. It's so much fun to talk to these people, and I don't know, just I don't know. Walking into those gifting suites, it's just fun. You know what I mean? Everybody's like in a good mood, and you get to see the humanity of some of these people that you realize they're just humans like everybody else. We all bleed red, we're all human beings on this earth, and they're just people. So, and they're fun to talk to because everybody's got a story. Everybody, no matter who you are.
And here's the other thing about this: I will talk to almost anybody. I learned
That's
this from
true.
Samuel Jackson. Well, I will, and the reason for that is you just never know who they may know. That's not the real reason I do it. But it's because they have a story to tell, and they won't get the opportunity to tell it to almost anybody. That's why. And so I want to be the one to tell their story, and I want to have them on because then you may become friends. Like, we have our first male co-host, Roberto Delanese now. Terri and him get along great. It's fun to see them talking in the corner. I have no idea what they're talking about. No, I really do. But it's fun to see these things happening. And that's what makes it fun. And Roberto's, off to the left. We got Victoria Renee. Victoria's got 1.7 million views. And then you've got Vince Spinano. So he's the one who creates all the fragrances for everybody out there.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
great. Yeah. You guys are doing really big things. And so the infliction that I want to bring upon our podcast tonight is that we can do this in unity. We can do this learning together. We can create amazing things. We want to help you learn. We want to learn from you as well. So, I mean, why not, right? Let's do this together.
Absolutely. 100%.
That makes sense. Absolutely.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
So, what do you got coming up? Tell me a little bit. We only have a few minutes left, so tell me what you guys got coming up. I'm going to flash a couple pictures, and you're going to...
So that's Victoria when we were doing stuff at Hollywood Film Festival, and I'm still doing stuff at festivals.
God, her voice is beautiful.
And she's got a great voice, and she's actually kicking butt when it comes to her singing and everything like that. That was at LA Fit Expo, so Terri was always there, and then our old little camera person, I forgot what her name was, but she was pretty good. She had this big harness, and it was fun being there because we like going to anything, fitness regarded. That's Terry's world.
That's awesome.
That was Arsenio. So he was doing something for PBS about his show, and my old friend Kim Winokur, and it was fun. So again, Kim was a good example of me bringing someone off the street into the world and giving them a chance of doing that. Jennifer Harry, remember Rich Terry?
Yes.
Obviously?
Yep.
He had a great following, and he died.
He passed,
great guy, just great guy.
I love this one because Leland is an idol in my book. And you got to check out his coffee table book. Leland Sklar put out this coffee table book where he put so many idols there. And they're all, what are they doing? Flipping the bird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. It's a coffee table book of nothing but flipping the bird. And with so many people, even famous artists who were in the hospital, even as opposed
There was
to
people in there I never thought you could pictures with. Yeah, there's people that I was really surprised. Like, wow, like, they're throwing a finger. Like, I never thought they would ever do that.
The entire book is just bird flipping, and
It's awesome.
So when he comes on the show, and in the immediate family, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we give the finger to Roxy and Antman.
Yeah.
Bring it.
And we'll get a picture of it too. I'll be thinking about you. I'll be thinking about you guys. I might even mouth it.
Leland is an idol of mine for sure. Always has been. He's phenomenal in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Terri, before we get out the door, I was wondering, you dabbling in so many acts of the industry and so many different pieces and facets. What are before we get out the door, some advice that you would give to some of the ladies that are handling some of today's issues and still want to get in the industry?
Oh, as just in general?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh gosh, I've had so many crazy experiences to being propositioned to just be, first, just be careful. You can do your research on these people, and they still could be like the Harvey Weinstein stuff. Just, I guess, have your guard up all the time. Tell people where you're going. Tell people who you're meeting. Just safety is a big factor. There's just creeps in the world, no matter what you do. That even in business, I would say too, never give up. When people tell you no, just know that that's not a good fit for you and just go into another direction. Learn from your mistakes. If something's not working, try something else. Don't keep doing the same thing that's failing. You don't keep banging your head on the wall. If something's not working, it's just not working. And just, stay positive and stay grateful and always enjoy the journey, because the journey is the fun part. When you get there, you're there, but it's the path, if that makes any sense. And the older I get, the more I realize it's the journey to get to where you want to go. It's the journey that me and Brian have had in the last 6 years that makes it special and makes it more meaningful. And you're going to have ups and downs during the way.
Terri, are you enjoying our journey?
Yes, I am. Yep, I am. There's been some good times. More good times than bad. Sometimes we little things go wrong, but the majority of it's been fun. And we've had obstacles. Like when we went to Nashville, I had to take a red eye to get out there. I didn't have any sleep, and I had to film 3 shows, and I got through it. And I don't know how I did it, but I did it. You just get things done. So.
Yeah.
Yes, I was on the phone with one of our sponsors from Australia saying, I need this money. I got to get Terri here to the show.
I got on a plane literally that night on a red eye. I almost didn't get there, but I got there. So
and those are the shows till this day, 4,400,000 and counting.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian, what kind of advice would you give for listeners of RA Nation?
Get used to telling your story. They need, first of all, they need to go on your shows. First of all, that's one of the things, because again, a lot of people, they don't know where to go tell a story. They don't know how to get on a podcast. They think they can have a podcast, but do you really know how hard it is to do all of this stuff? The answer is they don't. And they all say this, we got to get sponsorships. Good luck.
Right.
you got to get the views first.
Wait, I can't just show up and use a microphone. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Right. Yeah, I want to see you. And by the way, I'll go on and I'll educate you of what you're doing wrong, because I have no problem telling you what you're doing wrong, because I want you to succeed. Someone's got to tell you what you're doing wrong, right? It's no different from the contracts. It's no difference. So yeah, I'll be that person, and yeah. Like I said, I'll be the Samuel Jackson of the TV radio podcast world. I'm okay with that. look how much money Sam has made. He's worth over $350 million. He's laughing to the bank, I can guarantee you.
It could be fun for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always take constructive criticism from the people you know too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, no. So on our end, we have people saying, I remember this. We have people saying you shouldn't do this. Oh, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do that. I'm like, well, why not? it's working.
Yeah.
You know, and so what I tell people now, you don't know what I can see, and you definitely don't know what I know. And I guarantee you the things that I do know is not the wrong information, because I'm not going to tell Terri the wrong thing to do. I want her to succeed. I'm not going to tell Victoria the wrong thing to do. I want them to succeed, because if they don't succeed, then I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, you guys, we're a little bit over time right now. So, with movie reviews and more, get that in your head. Go check it out. It's an amazing show. You have to see what all they're doing. They're doing so much more than that. So, Brian, you want to reiterate a little bit more on that? Terri, you as well?
Well, I'll let Terri go first.
No, go ahead, Brian.
Okay. So the thing on this is we have a lot of great things coming up. And like I said, think about this. This one blows my mind. When you got a guy who's got 1 billion views who's going to come on your show, imagine what and Antman, you've seen him. Imagine what could happen during that show. Not only one show, he's going to do a show before that. I can't even fathom what's probably going to happen. But again, with 1 billion views, I look forward to doing that show.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. It's one show will connect to so many people in so many ways. That Chris Flores show connected to me for sure.
Well, you know, before we get out the door, it's funny. A lot of people are like looking for it, and sometimes it's watching you before you're looking for it. So, you know, sometimes it's not what you're looking for, it's what sees you after.
Well, I always tell people, you can come looking all you want. I'm the Wizard of Oz, and I'm behind the green curtain. Look at the girls.
Yes, sir.
I put them out there. Terri will do the interviews for you. Victoria will sing with you. Katarina will be our spokesperson for all the stuff, and we've got more. That's the fun thing.
About you, Brian, it's not just you. You bring on all these amazing co-hosts with you that have all sorts of inspiring stories to tell, and they all have their own thing going for them, and they're all not just beautiful, but inside and out, and they all have a story to tell about who they are and where they've come from and where they're at now. And I want that for musicians as well. I want to be able to say this musician has been here, they've done that, and here they are now. Bam, they're amazing. So I want all of our listeners to remember that, think about that, roll on it, sleep on it, and I want you all to really just keep going at it, no matter what. This is passion. This is inspiration. This is who you are, and stay true to who you are.
And as I always say, because I'm going to get the last word on this, if you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours, because the world needs it. We're out of here.
And that's where I normally end the show. So check them out at Movies Review and More, and make sure you check us out on RA Nation, the podcast group on Facebook. Check out Music Familiar Productions on YouTube, as well as Facebook as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because we're going to create a community all together that's we're going to be amazing at. So thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys coming and hanging out tonight.
Thanks for having us.
And Antman, tell us a little bit about next week. What's happening?
Next week, we have one of a female local promoter here in the Columbus area. Her and her husband have been supporting, promoting, and putting on shows in Central Ohio for over 30 years. So we're going to have a little bit of more info on what's been going on, and I'm hoping to be able to touch on this contract topic a little bit more.
That we will do, for sure, that we're going to definitely do that. So we'll see you all next week on RA Nation.
Have a great rest of your week.
Bye, guys.